Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into a really powerful chapter in the Bible, Psalm 101. You can think of it as King David's personal mission statement, his leadership covenant with God. And believe me, it is packed with wisdom that is just as relevant today as it was back then. So glad you're here as we walk through this devotional together, brought to you by the UNFIJ in Jesus team. Right out of the gate, in the very first verse, David sets the entire tone. And notice what he says. He doesn't say, "I will command" or "I will decree." He says, "I will sing of mercy and judgment. Unto thee, O Lord, will I sing." He's framing his entire job as a king, not as a political power play, but as an act of worship to God. So what is this song about? Well, David's leadership anthem is built on two incredible pillars, two core principles that are going to support everything he does. And those are mercy and judgment. Let's take a closer look. Now, a lot of times we think of mercy and judgment as total opposites, right? Like one is soft and the other is hard. But David sees them as two sides of the same coin. For godly leadership, you need both. They have to work together because they both flow straight from the character of God himself. And get this wasn't just some clever idea David came up with. He's actually modeling his own kingship directly after God's heavenly throne. Psalm 89, verse 14 tells us that God's very throne is built on justice and judgment, and that mercy and truth lead the way. So David is trying to make his earthly kingdom a reflection of the heavenly one. How amazing is that?
So you've got this incredible vision for godly leadership. Where does it start? Well, David knows that it doesn't begin with public speeches or new laws. No, it starts somewhere much, much smaller, inside the leader's own heart and home.
In verse 2, David makes this pledge: "I will behave myself wisely in a perfect way. I will walk within my house with a perfect heart." Now that word perfect doesn't mean he's promising to be sinless. It means he's all in, wholehearted, completely committed. And I just love his honesty right after that. "Oh, when wilt thou come unto me?" He knows he can't do this alone. He's crying out for God's help.
And this, right here, is the absolute key. His commitment starts within my house. That's the real testing ground for our faith, isn't it? Because public integrity is only real if it's built on a foundation of private godliness. Who you are when no one is watching, well, that's who you really are.
And David's commitment, it left a huge legacy. Years down the road, when God is talking to David's son, Solomon, he actually holds up David's integrity of heart as the gold standard. That private decision David made became the public benchmark for every king that followed. Wow. Okay, so David starts with the integrity of his heart. From there, he moves outward to the influences he allows into his life. He knew he had to be proactive about protecting himself from corruption.
In verse 3 he says, "I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. It shall not cleave to me." This is such a powerful, active decision. He's not just going to try and avoid evil if it happens to cross his path. He's actively guarding his eyes and his mind. In our world today, with screens and media everywhere, this principle is more important than ever.
And then David gets really specific about the people he keeps around him. He says a froward heart will depart from him. What a word, right? As you can see, it just means a heart that's twisted or perverse or deceitful. David is making a conscious choice to protect his own integrity by removing those kinds of corrupting influences from his inner circle.
You know, this just reflects timeless biblical wisdom. As Proverbs tells us, our companions shape who we become. David totally understood that to stay on the right path, he had to surround himself with people who would build him up, not tear him down. So we've seen him secure his private life and his inner circle. Now, David takes those very same principles and applies them to the public culture of his entire kingdom. He gets incredibly specific about the kind of character he will and will not put up with. And I mean, he lays out a list of non-negotiables. He will cut off anyone who secretly slanders their neighbor. He will not suffer, which means he won't tolerate people with a high look and a proud heart. And he makes it crystal clear: anyone who deals in deceit or tells lies has no place in his house or in his presence. He is building a culture founded on truth, period.
But it's not just about getting rid of the negative. Check out the positive side of his policy in verse 6. "Mine eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me." David says he's going to actively search for trustworthy people. He's basically on a talent search for people of integrity. Those are the ones he wants to build his team with.
And this principle is so important, it echoes right into the New Testament. The Apostle Paul gives almost the exact same instructions to Timothy for building the church. Find faithful people and empower them. It's a timeless model for godly leadership in any area of life.
So, we've walked through David's powerful, inside-out model for leadership. It starts with the private heart, it moves to the home, it extends to the inner circle, and finally, it shapes an entire nation. So the big question for all of us is, how can we apply this leader's covenant to our own lives today?
We can really distill David's entire pledge down into 4 key resolutions. First, commit to private integrity. It all starts at home, where no one else sees. Second, guard your eyes and ears. Be intentional about the influences you let in. Third, choose your friends wisely. Surround yourself with people who make you better. And fourth, practice honesty and humility. Make them the cornerstones of your character.
As we close out our time, let's make this personal. Looking at David's covenant and these 4 resolutions, what is one specific area that you feel God is calling you to work on in your own life, starting this week? Thank you so much for joining us for this devotional, brought to you by the You Need Faith in Jesus team.